Marianne, welcome in Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Did you have a good trip?
I had a great trip, thank you.
You won the prize, the award Management Assistant of the Year in 2004, which is already more than 8 years ago. So how has your life developed since then?
How has my life developed? Well, it opened a lot of doors winning that competition that indeed Secretary Plus organized for the first time in Belgium at that time. After having been management assistant, I became a relationship manager into the financial sector, and now for 3 years and a half I've been the managing director of the Mimi Foundation. But above all, it was a very nice personal experience because it obliged me to search for new challenges within that competition, because we had to make presentations, we had to write them themselves, we had to give them in different languages before a large audience.
A lot of time has gone by. Like I said, it's already almost 9 years ago. How has the role of a management assistant developed over the years?
Well, since then I've not been a management assistant anymore, but I can see it now from the other side, and I can see it just around me. That is that with the modern technology, a lot of things has changed, and if you want to work as a management assistant these days, you need to keep up the pace and you need to be into technology. Not only the technology, but maybe also the economical crisis might have a responsibility in the evolution of the job of a management assistant. I think managers are giving a lot of tasks to their management assistant now, jobs that might have been outsourced before. The responsibility of a management assistant has become broader. She needs to think with the boss and she needs to think for the company.
Because there's still a lot of prejudice about a management assistant, such as she only keeps the diary for her boss.
Yes, or she only schedules meetings, or all management assistants are women. I think it's a pity that these prejudices continue, because there is a big evolution even there. We have men being management assistants, and they do much more than only planning agendas and schedule meetings.
Actually, being a sparring partner requires a different kind of management assistant. It also requires that you have a perfect understanding with your boss.
I think that's very important, and if you have that perfect understanding with your boss, you can become his think tank. And as my boss used to tell me, I was the extension of his brains, which I really took as a compliment, because that allowed him to concentrate him on his core business or occupations of the day. I think a boss and an assistant should understand each other with half a word, and this goes in both directions.
And if a management assistant doesn't have a good understanding with her boss, would you advise her to switch positions?
I would. I don't think it is very useful to stay with a boss with whom you don't have a good or correct understanding.
Because there's one question that we received, and that is probably from somebody with a very stressful boss. She's asking, how as a management assistant do you react to the very stressful and demanding moods of your boss?
Well, you know, I think you could try to take as many as possible tasks on you, so that you lower his workload again. You can always be yourself or stay yourself, and sometimes you can react, but maybe not too violently. And I think that is something that you need to accept, that is that a boss can have good or bad moods. You always need to know where is your place, and you need to be able to step back at certain moments and just be low profile when the mood is very bad. It always passes by.
At the time you became a management assistant, was this a well-considered move in your career?
Not at all. Not at all. I did not really choose to become a management assistant. I chose to study languages because I really wanted to have a and as broad scope as possible for being able to choose the job that I liked when I started my career. But step by step, I roll into it, and it went quite naturally.
And have you ever regretted it?
No, not at all. I think I had a nice career and a nice evolution into my career, but I never regretted to be a management assistant, not at all.
What age were you when you started?
When I started, after my studies, I think I was 21, 22.
And do you feel it has prepared you for the further moves in your career?
Oh yes, absolutely. Having, I think, a certain ambition of finding new challenges all the time, I saw how things worked from the side of the management assistant, which helped me a lot, and I learned a lot from it on seeing how my manager was functioning. I'm sure that it still helps me in my day-to-day running of the Mimi Foundation these days. So but you know everything about it yourself.
Oh yeah. This was my biggest learning school in life.
Of the fact of being of course,
being a management assistant and then being able to run a company, because you see somebody by your side, actually running the company, and you're there closest to him, and you can learn. And what happened? Because a few years ago you made a major career switch. Why?
I wanted to work a bit more with my heart, which might sound as a cliche. But that's really the way I felt it. I was working with numbers and figures, and at that time I got a phone call from the Mimi Foundation, who was looking for a managing director. And
that is a charity organization.
Yes, it is. It is. At the Mimi Foundation, we try to lower the sufferance of cancer patients as much as possible. And I was really seduced by the noble cause I saw. So I decided to make the switch, which was, you can call it a risk, because I had a quite secure job within the financial sector. But I don't regret to have made this switch, and I'm very happy in my actual job.
And you are looking for a management assistant yourself?
Well, the Mimi Foundation in Brussels is looking for a part-time assistant in communication and administration. So we're looking for a very nice personality, somebody who has the can-do attitude, who can work on his own, but who's also a team player. Needs to be trilingual. So that's what we're looking for right now.
We have a lot of questions that came in. One of the questions was, do you have any nice anecdotes yourself?
I might have some anecdotes, but I think taking into account the responsibility I had as a management assistant at that time, I think I prefer to keep them for myself.
So a management assistant needs to be discreet?
Oh, for sure. You know, in the word secretary you have the word secret, and I think that's the basis for a good management assistant, to be able to keep secrets and to be discreet.
Okay. And what would your advice be for a management assistant, or somebody who wants to become a management assistant?
My advice: be curious, be creative, be able to take initiatives, have that can-do attitude, and be smiley.
Thank you for this conversation. Feel like a glass of wine?
Absolutely, absolutely.